What's going on, everybody? So I want to get through a couple more things that I did watch recently, or some things I'm into. So it was that Amazon Prime movie, A Million Miles Away. Synopsis is pretty much a biopic about Jose Hernandez and his path from a farm worker to becoming an engineer and an astronaut. A tale of perseverance, community, and sacrifice to accomplish a seemingly impossible dream. So yeah, it's a pretty much a feel-good movie because you kind of assume that he is going to be able to get to go to space, and it's based on a true story and all that stuff. So it's most likely that he did end up happening to get to go to the moon. But I won't spoil that if nobody knows, or if he did or did not. No one knows. So yes, I definitely think this is a nice watch. I probably will watch it again at some point, but it's not like a repeat viewer in my opinion. But for being like a biopic, I thought it was pretty good. It's just kind of weird, like the motivations for Jose, or at least the version of him in the movie, because it's kind of like he wants to do a certain thing, but then, you know, he gets a good paying job as like an engineer at some type of software company right out of college, so then he kind of just sticks with that, but he's not really being utilized and just basically like copying papers or whatever. But once he like solves something that they were not able to solve themselves, then they kind of like think that they could use him for something more useful. But that's kind of like that same idea of that Hidden Figures movie. He also dealing with NASA and astronaut and all that stuff. But yeah, it's kind of like the same idea. But either way, yeah, I thought it was a nice, feel good. A lot of great music too in there. Acting was great. Michael Pena was really good. Rosa Salazar, I believe that was her name. I believe I only know her from like Alita Battle Angel. But yeah, a lot of great acting in there from everybody. Really good movie. Probably could have been a little bit shorter. I think it's like right over 2 hours, but in the end, I don't think it really dragged. But like I said, like a lot of his motivation too, because he kind of gets distracted, and I guess that's just life, to where you kind of just end up having to work certain jobs to, you know, keep going and stuff, even after struggling when he was younger and stuff with his family, working on the farmlands and stuff. But then, you know, you end up having children too during that process, and then you finally break the news to your wife that you really want to push to do this whole astronaut thing, but you're gonna have to do like a whole bunch of work and all this stuff. But it's like, yeah, kind of almost felt like a little bit too late. But either way, like I said, I won't spoil it for you. But I guess that was my maybe only nitpick with the movie, but I still enjoyed it overall. And another show I was able to catch up on Amazon Prime is called Cross. I believe he's a like homicidal detective slash therapist, tries to figure out certain things. There's been movies about him. There's a whole bunch of like novels as well, kind of like the Jack Reacher series on Amazon too, and it's pretty successful. So I think they already got renewed for a season 2 before this thing even came out. But wanted to see how it was either way, and I kind of thought maybe this is kind of in the same vein as the Reacher show, so I kind of wanted to make sure I get that in before the new Reacher show comes out, whether it's like the end of this month in February or in March. But yeah, this is great. It's nothing exactly like Reacher, but that's a guy, the main character knows how to take care of himself and get the job done, which is still pretty cool. But pretty much the main synopsis is, or the plot of this is about Alex Cross is a homicide detective and forensic psychologist, in Washington, D.C. He works with his partner, Detective John Sampson, to catch dangerous killers. Alex is also a widower whose wife, Maria, was murdered. Alex uses his psychology skills to understand the minds of criminals, and Alex must balance his work with protecting his family from the dangers of the criminal underworld. Yeah, that's basically what it is. So apparently there was a case he was involved with in his past where all of a sudden, it's not really a spoiler because I'm pretty sure it's in the trailers, and it's a big thing that happens, but it's not like it's a main spoiler. It literally happens in like the first, I want to say, minute or 2 of the show. But his wife ends up getting gunned down and murdered, like literally right there in the first couple minutes of the show. And then he kind of, it's like a year later after that, and him dealing with that, the depression of losing his wife and all that stuff, and still having 2 kids, and still trying to figure out all that stuff. And then all of a sudden he starts getting like random stuff like flowers sent to him, and then it's this other case that's going on that's kind of leading to other stuff that he was involved with in a recent case in his past where I guess he had testified and that person who knew the person that went to jail for a long time apparently was upset at him, so is now trying to get back at him. It does a good like show and tell of who you kind of think is the main villain, but then they kind of throw a nice wrench in there and you kind of get lost a bit towards the end, which is still pretty cool because it was someone that I was not expecting, because it's kind of two things where it's like he's solving a big case and you already know who the murderer or killer is, because he's trying to like make 12 murders that are based off of people that look like ex-murderers that were well known in history. So he kind of like takes a victim, reforms them, whether cutting their hair or changing their body features to make it look like that one murderer, ex-murderer, and then kills them himself. So it's kind of like a weird thing that this murderer has, but you kind of figure out who that person is pretty early, but then it's about Cross trying to figure out who that is, but then also somebody's messing with his family, so you kind of assume it's this person. I will not say if it is or it isn't, but I'll just say it's a nice twist, and I thought the acting was very great. Aldous Hodge is the main character, Alex Cross. I thought he did a very good job. I think I've seen him in stuff prior to this too, but I think he might even be in talks to be the next T'Challa in Black Panther for Marvel. So I heard that was a rumor. I could be wrong, but overall, I hope it doesn't end up taking him away from this show, because I was hoping for a season 2 pretty soon, and it was already greenlit for a season 2 before this even premiered late in 2024. I think it was like in November, but apparently there's a lot of good and positive news about that too. So apparently, in a lovely change from the usual streaming show, more episodes of Cross were greenlit before the first season even premiered. Per deadline, Cross received a renewal for season 2 back in April 2024, a full 7 months before the first season arrived, which is pretty crazy. And they also had gotten the cast and everything for that. And people were asking when the next season will come out, and they said after its early renewal, it's highly likely new episodes will come out sooner rather than later. And then they said that the second season has already finished filming, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, that was great to hear that even throughout this time. I guess they knew back way early in 2024 that it was getting greenlit. So they said might as well from that point on until this thing gets out in late November, might as well just shoot the next season, and they're already done, which is awesome. So I'm expecting that to come out later this year in 2025, kind of like how the premiere date was for this last first season, and definitely looking forward to that. And yeah, definitely one of those better newer shows I've seen recently, so I would definitely recommend it to you all. And one of the more recent full movies I've seen on Amazon Prime that released pretty early in 2025 was called You're Cordially Invited, starring Will Ferrell and Reese Witherspoon. It's pretty much about a woman planning her sister's ideal wedding, and the father of a bride-to-be discover their destination weddings at a remote resort are double booked. When both parties decide to share the small venues, chaos ensues and disaster awaits. So I was kind of expecting a little bit more chaos and disaster, where they kind of like agreed to, yeah, we'll split certain hours of the day here and there for your reception and all this stuff, but it kind of didn't start getting a little bit more chaotic till the end, and it was just more kind of like spite instead of just like stuff happening, just randomly. It was more of like, oh, I'm gonna get back at this person because of something else that happened to me, or I'm disliking my family right now, or all this stuff. So in the end, it was just an okay movie in my opinion. I was expecting a little bit more laughs, especially because it's like R-rated, so you kind of expected a little bit more like a bit hardcore, funnier stuff to happen, but it didn't really happen, especially for like a Will Ferrell film, in my opinion. And plus, I think it's like a director I never really knew. I could be wrong, but I don't think I've seen any of their movies. And some of the actors, I think, were a little bit flat in some of their delivery and some of the stuff where it's like they would give this character a certain line that really wasn't that important, and then the line kind of just like fell flat and wasn't funny. Like, it wasn't even dumb funny. So yeah, kind of wondered why both Will Ferrell and Reese Witherspoon would produce some type of movie like this, and it's kind of obvious that it didn't get a theater release because I don't think they were that proud of it, I would say. But either way, if you kind of just want to get out of the way, get it out of your system to enjoy some laughs, not 100% or even 50% laughs, then I guess try it out. But I guess you'll find out if you do end up enjoying it or not. I don't know if this is I'm still in between Yellowjackets, and then Severance Season 2 is still going to be happening, but I won't be able to finish that in time. So most likely the last thing you see in this video is me reacting to the first season of Yellowjackets, which has been going pretty crazily. So looking forward to seeing how that ends up. And to finish this video off, I did finally finish that first season of Yellowjackets, the show that's on Showtime. I think it's going to be releasing its third season coming up pretty soon. So I was like, I don't know, it seems like a popular show. I'll get into it, see if I am interested, and it was okay for the most part. I'll get into the synopsis of what it was pretty much about. So, starts off as the Yellowjackets is an American thriller drama television series, and it follows a group of teenagers involved in a 1996 plane crash and follows the consequences of the event in their adult lives in the year 2021. So pretty much they're like a top soccer team and they're going to nationals or states, something like that. So they go on a plane trip, plane goes down, they end up in some type of wilderness, wooden area, and then they're basically, most of them still survive. A couple of them pass away during the crash, but they kind of have to fend for themselves. They do kind of mention here and there how long they have been there throughout the series. I won't spoil that for you, but there's obviously a lot of drama that ends up going on, and then they kind of find a cabin that used to belong to some guy who had passed away in there too, but they kind of wondered why it was just the only thing that was around, because they kind of go off and try to figure out where they are, but they just realize that they're in the middle of nowhere. And then for some reason, one of the girls there, who isn't on the team but is kind of like a fangirl basically, who always follows them and stuff, she for some reason finds like the device that, I guess when planes crash, it kind of goes off to let people know where to go and look and search for the downed plane. But for somehow she found that device and unplugged it, so of course nobody comes searching because they don't assume or even know where they had fallen or anything like that, where the crash had happened. But for some reason she does that. You don't understand why. And then as they're there, for how long have they had been there, they kind of start going a little bit crazy here and there. And that's just like half of the story, because it jumps back and forth between some of the survivors who are around in present day in 2021 and kind of like what they're dealing with, because they're starting to get blackmailed and having to do this, and because they never really talked about their story or what really happens, you kind of can tell pretty much what ended up happening. I don't know why it always goes to cannibalism, but I guess that's how you have to survive in these certain scenarios. But yeah, they kind of have to deal with that fallout later in life, and then this whole blackmailing thing kind of gets them back together, at least the women that survived, and then they're trying to figure it out and all this other stuff. And yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's kind of like boring here and there and stuff, because sometimes there's like a whole section of them talking and then like nothing literally ends up happening or doesn't improve or move forward the story too. So I don't know if they knew they were already going to have a second season up next on deck, but kind of felt like that because they kind of end with a pretty specific spoiler that I won't get into, which kind of would lead to the next season and why certain things might be happening to them in present day from what had happened during that plane crash and the events that happened afterwards. So I am going to go through and try to get through season 2 just to see if I can still be interested enough to watch the new season that's coming out soon, and if not, then I guess not. But I still say I'd recommend it. You have Showtime. I think I watch it through Paramount Plus, so as long as you have that, you should be able to stream it. Alright, and to end this video off, a couple more miscellaneous stuff that I'm interested in. So Wallace and Gromit, apparently they are a 6-time Oscar nominee, which is pretty awesome. I have not been able to watch that new movie on Netflix because I'm not, it's not like registered, but I don't have a subscription to Netflix as of yet. But yeah, I've always been a big fan of them. When I was younger, just loved those main like 3 shorts. But I didn't realize too, once I bought like a recent Blu-ray, that there was actually 2 more of those like 15-20 minute videos that I guess were always around there, or / short films. So I still haven't watched those, but definitely very interested in watching that. And I've seen like some of their other movies too, and what Aardman, the company, the claymation company, that has done to like Flushed Away, or some of those other things like Chicken Run is another great stop animation clay movie too. So yeah, definitely very happy that they got another nomination. probably not going to win. There's a lot of good animated films out there for the Oscars, but good luck to them either way. And it looks like that Robert Eggers, director, is officially set to direct a sequel to Labyrinth, that David Bowie movie from the 80s. So that's pretty interesting that it's not a remake or a reimagining, it's a sequel. So it's going to continue. So maybe it'd be pretty cool to get Jennifer Connelly back in there again. I just sucks that it won't be David Bowie. I wonder who would take over as, was it the Goblin King? That's what he called themselves. But yeah, we'll see how that ends up going. And most likely they went with a singer. I think they were supposed to go with like Michael Jackson, or they wanted to go with him, but I don't know if he thought it was like too similar to Thriller or whatever. But yeah, I wonder who they can go with. It could be pretty interesting in my opinion. So yeah, especially him as a weird atmospheric director, it could be really good, or he could end up messing it up and leaving us even more confused than when we were children watching that first Labyrinth. So we'll see. So thanks for watching, people. Like and subscribe. Comment down below. Let me know what y'all think. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.